Tonight is not my night, guys. I'll give you guys a few seconds to realize I had to restart. Hopefully that doesn't happen again. Tonight's just not my night, obviously. I keep having issues. It just notified me that my camera. Hey, Michelle. Sorry, guys. I know you guys are starting to trickle back in. Tonight is just my night for having issues. I don't know what happened. I don't know if it's because I hadn't moved the mouse in a while that my laptop started going to sleep, but it was just like, oh, camera's turning off. And I was like, wait, no. And I tried to get it not to die, but then it wouldn't come back on. So, hey, Melanie. I'm super sorry, guys. Tonight's just been a rough one for me being live. I mean, I'm fine with it, but I just hate that it keeps giving you guys me issues, which is affecting you guys. I hate that. Hopefully everybody notices that I got back on, because we were talking about some pretty heavy stuff. So I appreciate you guys. You got notified this time? Well, that's good. Yeah, I don't know why it did that. This happened to me one other time when I was on live out in the living room. Like, my dog had unplugged the power cord and it just went off. But this time there's no dog in here. I have the door shut for that reason, to keep them from coming in here and messing with stuff. But I don't know what happened. Sorry. And I appreciate you guys for like hanging in there and coming back. I don't fully, technology. I don't know if, I know some of you guys were here when I did my very, very first part where I was on StreamYard trying to use my actual camera and stuff, and that was a mess. And I just realized that video actually posted, so I'm gonna go back and delete that because that's just a mess. Where were we at? Let's get back on topic. And I'm sorry, I'm checking my phone to see if I set up everything for the super chats. Not that I'm expecting anybody to send me any super chats or anything, but I have family who lurk around. For those of you who were in that live, sorry, but they wanted to potentially have that option, and I just wanted to make sure it was showing up, and it is. So where were we at? I know I was talking about like when I was going through that, and I think I got all my points across and how I came out of that. Let me know if I answered your question, Sean, or not. I talked to her afterwards too, and I was like, why did you out yourself? She was like, well, I've never seen that it was live before, and I just got so excited. And I was like, oh my gosh, don't do it again though. Yeah, I was literally 21. My husband and I got married, and he very quickly had to deploy after a few months. So I was new to even being able to drink legally. And because my way of combating the stuff that I experienced as a child was to abstain from it. So I didn't drink until I was 21. I never drank in high school. I never did. I mean, still to this day, I've never used any drugs, but I started smoking when I was in my younger 20s. I don't remember exactly how old I was when I started to smoke. And then, I waited until I was of what was considered a legal age. Yeah, and I wasn't even in college when I was 21. It took me a long time to get my degree. I started college right after high school, and I really am not a huge fan of school, like at all. I don't really have the patience for it. As weird as that sounds, that's just who I am. So it took me like 7 years to get my AA because I spaced it out so long. And then how old was I? I think when I was 24 or 25 is when I finally decided it had to be right around then that I finally decided what I wanted to do with my life and like for a career. And I just applied to school and went to school, got through my degree relatively quickly, and then got into the workforce immediately. You'd like to, I mean, it's not super uncommon for people not to wait until they're 21. Almost all of my friends had drank before they were 21. Yeah. And I mean, it, depending on the context, Jen, that your mom like was talking to you guys when you were kids about that, I don't necessarily think that that's an issue for parents to have those conversations. If anything, I would encourage it. Yeah, I don't drink that often anymore. Um, if I'm given the opportunity to like hang out with friends and to have a drink or two, I will. But I haven't been intoxicated in probably a year. No, it's been less than a year. But even when I know that that's the kind of night I'm going to have, I plan accordingly. We always have a DD or we take an Uber. I always have somebody with me. Um, I don't remember when it was talked about, but I have been given drugs in my drinks before, so I never go out alone. Not that I was alone when those things happened. That's how I know I was drugged. But I've never been one to, I'm always over analyzing for my own safety. And I think everybody should. I don't know why. It is, what time is it here? It's almost 8 o'clock here. And because the sun is just now going down, the ice cream truck is going. Yeah, Melody, I kind of agree to that with that as well. It's hard to determine what age is appropriate. Um, I would say probably when they're in high school, but I mean, parents are gonna know their children better and are gonna know like when they would be able to understand and digest a conversation like that. So I would think sometime in high school would probably be more around the appropriate ages, but some children develop faster and mature quicker and may be able to handle that conversation younger. Some may take a little bit of time. But high school is like such a tumultuous time for almost, even if you have a good experience in high school, like it's still all over the place. Like you still struggle to some degree or not with something. But I think especially now, like, conversations need to be had by parents, not by influencers, not by, because we all know there's some influencers on this platform, on TikTok, on Instagram. There's influencers on almost every platform that are super problematic and provide the wrong education and flaunt their substance use, like Tana Mojo. Um, that if the parents aren't having these discussions and aren't monitoring what they're watching, it's they're glamorizing it to a degree. Like Tana, I would that would be an interesting argument to have with somebody who tries to think that Tana doesn't have some kind of element of glorifying or glamorizing her substance issues. None of us, I have 4 siblings, really drink except the youngest, and he's self-medicating. He's bipolar, which explains the... Yeah, bipolar is one of those mental health conditions that if you're not medicated, it can be really hard on you and your loved ones. Friends with a teen who suffered for 2 years from severe anxiety after I... Yeah, I mean, anxiety and depression are some of the most common mental health conditions to have. That's funny. It doesn't get that cold here. Is that Celsius or Fahrenheit, Sean? I believe you're not over here in the US. If that's the case, Melanie, I would really try and find an influencer that you think is, providing the appropriate and correct information for them to listen to. I would also maybe try to reach out to their schools as a parent and just say that you think it would benefit students of your child's class age to become educated on these things. Because typically, most schools will have classes or they'll have an event during the school year where they will discuss it, or they'll have a presentation. Like my school would have a presentation done by law enforcement and what was that organization called? And MAD, Mothers Against Drunk Driving, where moms would come and like tell stories of their children that they have lost and the impact that it had on them, just to kind of let younger kids know the impact that some of your actions do. But once a school year, educating kids on stuff like that, I don't think is necessarily enough, especially when it's as rampant here as it is in the US. Yeah, you're in Celsius. I don't even know what that converts to. I'm not sciencey at all. No idea what it converts to here in Fahrenheit. She was so angry. No one told her what to look out for, just her experience. Yeah, and along with substance misuse, mental health should also be discussed, especially when, it is kind of talked about in mainstream media and everything, that we're trying to break the stigma of it. Having schools literally teach these things and educate our next generation is the best way for issues not to continue. Yeah, guest speakers can be effective. But Melody, that almost goes to speak to the stigma of having mental health. Like, it kind of sounds like she was aware something was going on, but didn't know what it was and was kind of fearful to ask anybody about it. So that makes me wonder, like, if she kind of had an idea something was going on and just didn't know what it was and was too afraid to ask a medical professional or any kind of professional what was potentially going on. I'd like to know how long ago that was. Yeah, Melanie, I recently had to take a defensive driving course that was offered by the law enforcement where I'm at. And I think I've mentioned this in the other live that we talked about substances. It was like hardly any of the educational videos that they used were from the US. They were all from overseas. Like Ireland was a big one. What was another one that was a big one? I can't remember the other country that was really on top of like having informative commercials, because that's what they were. They were commercials for like regular TV that were talking about people, speeding and drunk driving and, making sure that you're aware of your surroundings and things like that. Like, we should have more stuff like that here in the US. It's okay. It's okay, Melanie. I can see what you meant. I kind of was like, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but okay. Oh man, that was only 2 years ago. Yeah, I think especially if it sounds like this was a daughter, I think I don't know if I want to start that bag of open up that bag of worms. Yeah, and Sean, I feel like it is more common overseas than it is here. We hardly have any of those. It's like once it starts coming around to a heavy drinking holiday, it seems that more will air. But the ones that I see on our TVs the most, and keep in mind, I don't have cable anymore. I haven't had cable for like 8 months now, but I did before, and I would see primarily like the anti-tobacco um commercials more than like any driving or drinking and driving. I feel like those come around once it's like a heavy drinking holiday. Hey Amber, how are you? I mean, to be honest, not that it's necessarily taboo in like the areas I've been, but people get judged about it no matter what. Even if it's not in an area that it's considered taboo, it's still kind of people don't understand the cycle of addiction. They don't understand how addiction actually works and how it takes over the person. That they literally have no understanding of it. They just have assumptions of it. They're not educated on it. And that goes to adults too. And it ends up hurting the person who is struggling. Almost every I have Let me word it this way. I have never met someone who is in addiction or who was in addiction who wasn't trying to cover something up, whether it be from previous trauma or trying to, self-medicate their mental health. There is typically always an underlying reason why they become an addict. Oh, you meant driving education? Yeah, so I didn't get my license until I was 18, so I just had to do like the legal stuff, like reading the laws of the road and stuff like that. I learned more in my defensive driving class that I just took for this job than I did when I got my driver's license. Jen, are you talking about when alcohol was like outlawed? So 2 studies that I am, technically 3 studies I am terrible at, is history. I can't remember dates. I've talked to you guys multiple times about my memory issues, so I don't remember history well. I am terrible at geography and like world geography, terrible at it, and science. Yeah, Amber, I'm from a part of Florida that's not far from Alabama that is still considered part of the Bible Belt. So I kind of can assume I know what kind of people you had around you. And it is super judgy. And if you're in I wasn't in like a very highly religious area, even though we were a part of the Bible Belt. If you were in like an area that is high on religion, I could see where it would be considered taboo. It would also depend on, and I don't want you to say, but to me, it also depends in my through my profession, depends on what substance is actually being used, which somehow that matters to people and how they're going to judge you, depending on what substance you were abusing. I haven't seen that commercial, Melanie. Yeah, Sean, that is, I know that is a super triggering word to people, so I'm not going to say it, but that's an issue everywhere. And don't ever let anybody take your sobriety away from you. Amber or anybody else who is in this chat or just listening, don't ever let anybody like demean your experience or anything you have lived or what you have accomplished, especially when it comes to substance use. If you have been able to fight that feat and come clean and remain sober, that is one of the hardest things anybody will ever do. I've never done it personally, but I have seen people do it. I've seen how hard it is for them, how hard it is for their families, how it affects absolutely everything of a person's life. It is one of the hardest things for people to do. And it should be congratulated and it should be looked up to in the right setting, obviously. Yeah, Jen. So that's like when they, shortly after they like banned all alcohol, and that's when they started having, what is it? Moonshine. They started making moonshine. I don't know if what we're going through now would really correlate, in my opinion, would correlate to that. And you know, Amber, the substance shouldn't matter. It shouldn't matter what you're abusing on how people are going to look at you. Now, from a professional standpoint, I worry more when it comes to certain substances for my clients because I know how deadly it can be. but it doesn't make me judge them. I don't judge any of my clients. I never have judged in any of the work I've done. I've never judged what I'm approaching or what I'm having to address or work through with somebody. I have never judged them. It does no good for you as a profession, and it does absolutely no good to that individual or that family that you are interacting with. Hey, Skimps, how are you? Sorry, I'm a little bit behind. I'm trying to catch up. Yeah, meth gets a very bad name. Oh, I don't mind what you guys say, Jen. Like I said, I am thankful that and like surprised that I have reached the ability to be monetized, but I could care less. So if I just don't want to say that particular word that was brought up because it can be triggering to people, not so much to YouTube. I could care less really about that. Amber, that is something that a lot of people who reach sobriety struggle with. I would suggest just making sure that you're talking to somebody, a professional, about you feeling those feelings to help you work through it, because you shouldn't feel ashamed. Your parents or your family, hopefully throughout this process, have been educated about it, so they know more and they know what maybe had driven you to that and why you continued once you were in it, so that they don't hold that over your head as well. Taking initiative. I don't know. It's hard to say. Like, I think that more things should be put in place to educate when it's important, like for appropriate ages for it to be a part of the curriculum, rather than, we can really like boil this down to like home ec. Like home ec used to be nothing but about like cooking and cleaning and how to be a housewife. And over the years, it has transformed into, being more educational around like healthy sexual practices, learning about your body, learning about things like that. I think in those classes, it should be integrated more so for like mental health to be discussed more heavily, as well as substance use, especially in the US and probably worldwide, where we are having such a huge crisis with opiates. I mean, you can look up the statistics on how many people are dying a day because of opiates, and it's gotten so bad that, they have formulated Narcan to be able to revive people who are pretty much dead because of overdose. And most of those overdoses are accidental. I'm going to try and catch up in the chat. That's amazing, Amber. That is a long time. You'd be very proud of that. Yeah, you should be very, very, very proud of that. Yeah, I'm glad to hear that, because I mean, addiction, even once you're sober, is, if you've ever watched Peter Monn, and if you haven't, maybe he's somebody you should look towards. Although he didn't have the same addiction you had his was primarily alcohol from what he's told, but he discloses that he struggled with other substances as well. And he talks about his sobriety and like his continuum of going to meetings and, you know, talking to his sponsor. He's open about his addiction and his recovery. He might be a good, okay, you do watch him already. Good. For anybody who is an addict or has been an addict, if they are on YouTube, I would suggest subscribing to him. Although he's full of theatrics and dramatics on his drama channel, he provides some very solid education around his personal experience. He is also a social worker, so I'm sure at some point in his when he was working and practicing, that he probably has professional experience as well. There's other YouTubers on here who have been open about their addiction. I believe it was Margot Indigo. Correct me if I'm wrong. A couple of them I get mixed up, but I believe she's been open about her addiction before. There's quite a few like T or drama channels, whatever you want to relate to them, as that have been open about their struggles or have been partially open about their struggles. Nick Snider from The Viewer's Voice has also talked about his recent addiction and his recent relapse, which I know he gets crap from some of his viewers for talking about those things, but honestly, like if you have an adult audience, I don't think it's a bad thing to put out there. If I had a younger demographic, I probably wouldn't have these conversations on YouTube. My demographic is my age and older. I don't have a young demographic at all. And even if I did, I would still probably have these conversations, just more of a more censored, that would be appropriate for them. Yeah, Amber, exactly. Yeah, the Peterisms channel. Yeah, I love that channel. I just have to skip through like when he goes over the morning meditation. I'm not a meditation person, so that part I like skip a little bit through. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, that is a huge trigger word, and that's why I didn't say it. Full of theatrics is putting it mildly. Yeah, I find that people who are willing to talk about like some of the hardest times in their lives are typically the most genuine people. Of course, over time, like even Peter, he's changed slightly over the years, but overall, if you really compare his videos, not a whole lot has changed. Some of how he behaves has. I think he's more careful about what he says when he's calling people out, and that's just because he's had some drama happen and has learned from it. But overall, like I feel the ones who are willing to be vulnerable for however many people to view are the ones who are really in this space for good reason. Not that people who don't talk about personal issues aren't. I don't think everybody, um, quite frankly, I don't think everybody has the ability to be vulnerable to millions. Some people don't even have the self-confidence to be vulnerable with the people closest to them. And there's nothing wrong with that. No, they don't, Melanie. They talk about it from a very real standpoint. So I don't think it would be hard for you to, I would just make sure you're kind of picking out the videos that you want them to watch, because both of those YouTubers do like commentary, drama commentary, tea stuff. So it's like muddled in with their content. The only person who really glamorizes it that I'm aware of is Tana. I know there's others on this platform who do as well, but she's the only one I am very aware of that does it. Maybe have a poll as to if we would like to discuss it. I know I would. Discuss. I missed you, Melody. I see your previous about it being a trigger word. Discuss it. How so? Like in a live or like currently in this live? That's BS. They are giving crap. Who, Nick Snider's? Yeah, I think he kind of I don't know what his actual demographic is, to be honest, but some people are not with the times. You know, they still struggle with people being open about having addiction issues. So when someone says I relapse and is open enough to say what substance they relapsed on, which was a very judgmental substance, people want to just jump on the bandwagon and, address him. Well, why did you think that was appropriate to tell your audience? Why, it's always, you can't please everybody. And unless you're a smaller YouTuber like I am, where I'm seriously in the mix of building my community, the people who are in my chats and who are here are ones who obviously support me. All of you support me. And are kind of in this with me. So you're not going to necessarily call me out in the way that, someone with as many subs as he has, where he doesn't have that like personal relationship or talks with them, are going to feel more confident, like keyboard warriors, so to speak. That's a good term for it. I think I missed some stuff as I was talking. Oh, you skipped that part too? Yeah, I'm just not into that. I get that some people are, and it probably helps people who watch him regularly have that in their routine. But I'm not one of those people. Which is not, I don't think it matters that we skip through like the first 10 minutes of it. In a live. The only problem with that is I don't think YouTube would let me put that up as a poll because it is such a sensitive word. And people who wouldn't necessarily have been in this live wouldn't know what S stood for. They would probably think it stood for Sophie, because I've discussed that case quite a bit. So I don't know how to really go about that poll. And to be honest, aside from like the effects of it having on family and friends, I don't think that's still even a triggering word to YouTube. I'm not super educated in it. And I'm not saying I'd be opposed to talking about it or like doing some research for it. What was that YouTube channel? So if you're interested in that kind of topic, I actually would recommend you go watch Cam and Fam and Cam, or Cam and Fam's video that she did recently about her husband in that situation. It deals with mental health, him using his abusing his medications, and ultimately committing that act. So if you're wanting like some real, and it was a very, very hard and very, very emotional video to watch, but it was so educational, and I commend her so much for being as young as she is and wanting to educate her audience and inform people of how serious this issue is, like all three issues: substance misuse, mental health, not being here anymore. She did a wonderful job. of that video and getting the facts across and letting people know and seeing really what it was like for her. And the fact that they have very young children and, how she intends on handling that. It's a very good video to watch if you haven't. Yeah, I don't necessarily think he's for a younger audience. I think him in particular, Jen, I think he got the flack because people were just being judgmental because of the substances he was using when he relapsed, and the fact that he was open about his relapse and that it put him in the hospital and he nearly died. And he also wasn't saying it for sympathy or anything like that. It was very obvious to me. He was trying to educate and tell his audience, like, this is an issue. I've been struggling with it. This is the seriousness of it. People can easily hide these issues and their subscribers not know anything about it. Well, I hope it's in a good way, Sean. And these open discussions, whatever we end up calling these, are always going to be with, not to point you out, but with that in mind. Like, those are the things that I kind of intend these discussions to be, is to provide some information, to open a discussion quite literally, and to teach people and let people who are willing to be vulnerable and want to be vulnerable provide their story, give themselves an outlet. Oh, thank you, Amber. I appreciate that compliment. Sorry, guys, I'm trying to catch up in the chat. I mean, we could definitely, like I said, I'm not opposed to it. My question would be, would you guys want to just be able to talk about it openly, or would you want me to actually do some research to be able to provide some? I've never had anybody in my life do commit that successfully. I have people in my life who have attempted it. So, I can talk about it from that standpoint, but I can't talk about it from knowing somebody who's completed it. I've not ever known anybody who has. The only way that I know people who have committed said act is because my husband's military, and it is extremely high in active duty. It's a very, very high rate that people do this. So he has known a lot of people to actually commit that while I've been married to him. And we've been married for almost 9 years, and it's almost a yearly occurrence that somebody he is actually close with at work ends up ending their lives. And a lot of times in those situations, it wasn't expected. So, I can talk about it from that standpoint, but you guys let me know. I understand. It would be a good topic, especially right now, to bring attention to and maybe provide, the ability for people to reach out to whoever's comfortable with leaving their social medias in the chat, to reach out to them and have conversations. I could see where that could actually be super beneficial, Melody. No, I totally get it, Melody. And as I started talking about it just then, I literally started to seriously contemplate if it would be a good idea. And the more I'm actually talking through my thought process with you guys, probably would be beneficial. And I think that's why I want to come. I'm probably going to use, for those of you who are in here, I'm probably going to use open discussion as like the lives where we discuss stuff like this, where we discuss like real world issues. I don't know if that's necessarily the best way to relate to them, but they really are, in my opinion. So we can do that next week, maybe. I would say this week, but a lot of drama has been going on. So I don't want to put myself on that time strain because I still have videos to film and upload. Sean, I'm glad you enjoy listening to people's experiences, and I'm glad people do feel comfortable in my lives and stuff like that to come forward and tell their experiences and their stories. Yeah, I mean, I'm comfortable talking about it. Although I may have met some of the people that my husband lost, I didn't know them personally. Thanks, Melody. I think you guys were all in here the last time I talked about it. My mom wants me to look into doing life coaching as like a side job, because I don't have any intentions. And when I got my degree, I didn't get my social work degree with the intentions to be a counselor, or a therapist or go to be a psychologist. Like I really didn't have an interest in that. But people come and talk to me at work, friends, family. I'm always the one that people resort to when everything is on fire. I think it's because I do have a good education about dealing with a lot of traumatic things, and stuff of that. Like my education really makes me be able to handle stuff like that. So I don't know. I don't know how to start something like that, and I don't even know where to. I would enjoy doing life coaching, but I just don't know. You think he was supposed to find this channel? I remember the night that you just popped in, Sean. I think it was the last time we talked about substances. You think so too, Amber? Yeah. I know I would be good at it. I just don't know, and I don't mean that to sound conceited, but because I am the one everybody turns to, I know I would do fairly well in that. I just don't know how to start a business like that. And I frankly don't know if I have time for it, to be quite honest. Like right now, work, my husband, and my dogs, and YouTube are kind of all I'm focusing on right now. I don't know if I could throw in another thing in the mix. Yeah, it was that live, wasn't it, Jen? I mean, Sean, you can answer too. I'm pretty sure it was that other substance abuse live that he had popped into. I keep getting these scammy comments on my videos, and I have to go and delete them or block these people. I don't understand why that stuff happens. So I do think I am going to, I've been sitting here kind of contemplating. That's why I've been a little bit quiet. I've been thinking about what Melody talked about and the topic of, I don't even know how to refer to it because I don't want to trigger anybody who's in here. That sensitive topic. I will probably do a live on that next week because I think it would be important to talk about. Hopefully YouTube doesn't take my video down though. That's the only thing like I think they might do, which would kind of defeat the purpose of us having the open forum, except for us, like it would benefit us. Yeah, Jen, you know, sometimes to some people I'm subscribed to, I will get the notification for their video like days after it posted. And I'm like, what? YouTube's just a mess. I think them not working, because I don't think YouTube's working from the office or their building or whatever it is that they work from. I think they're struggling. I think that's why a lot of YouTubers are having issues with stuff. However, I think one particular YouTuber, and most of you guys will know who I'm referring to, uses that as an excuse. You haven't, that's really fun. I'm actually, like in real life, how I talk on here is how I would talk to a client, a potential client, but in real life, I am very abrasive. I'm very, very upfront, very honest, very blunt. I'm not well liked by the female population because of that. Those females that I end up meeting don't like me, which is fine with me. Less drama. No offense. I know a lot of my subscribers are women. I don't mean that offensively. I'm glad you feel that level of comfort here to be willing to talk about some things that are personal and hard for you. We're not, I'm pretty sure you can tell at this point, we're not going to judge you. And if at any point somebody ever does come at any of you, please let me know because I will address it. Bye, Michelle. Have a good night. Yeah, Amber, I feel like a lot of women who probably are subscribed to me or watch my content regularly tend to have like the same kind of personality that I do. I know Britt is the same way. Her and I have chatted here and there through DMs. Jen, did you say night to Melody on accident or were you leaving or is that just a confusion? Kind of funny. Looking back at the chat, that's kind of what I thought, Jen. I just wasn't sure. That's funny. Let's see, what time is it? I'll probably stay on for another 5 to 10 minutes and then I'm gonna hop off here so I could eat. Need to eat and get ready for work tomorrow. It's okay. Jen, if you've been in Britt's live streams, I've done accidents like that. I don't think anybody's noticed when I've done them. But Della and I both like say hi to the same person. And I don't know if that's overkill. I should probably ask Britt if she thinks that's overkill. So it's very common when you're adding people, like using the @ symbol, and it's hard to say that, so that they know you're talking to them. It's hard to use that and not accidentally pick the wrong one. As you guys can tell, I've been picking at my nails. I wasn't happy with this set, and if you can tell from the live after I uploaded that video, I was really irritated that they ended up looking just like the set I had on before that. Yeah, her last chat kind of got crazy there for a minute. So aside from Melody's suggestion, does anybody else have any suggestions on topics that they want to talk about during these discussions? Or do you have any things you want me to talk about, like in a video, not a live, but like video format? No, I'm not, Jen. I did film the nail tutorial people wanted, even though it was an hour long, because I deleted the edited version. So I just ended up uploading the full length one where it's quiet almost the whole hour. I put on a new set and I thought it was gonna, on the tester that I did, because I always do a tester before I actually paint my nails, it looked like it was gonna be a totally different, it looked like it was gonna be way like more icy and silver looking because there's black instead of blue underneath. But it, once it rubbed off, like the iridescent powder, once it was rubbed out entirely on my actual nail, it looks blue. So I'm not pleased with it. This isn't the way you should take these things off either, for anybody who is interested in getting the tips I talked about in that video. I'm super frustrated because I was gonna try to leave this set on until my new order came in, but COVID has really delayed their shipping. Even though they, never mind, I'm not gonna say that. No offense to you guys. I don't ever want it, since I post my lives, I don't ever want to accidentally give enough information for people to be able to locate me in the future. Just like that live that you guys were in where that one thing happened, I've really been contemplating deleting that because I don't want people to, who rewatch that, maybe have the access to that information, if you know what I mean. So I might leave it up for like another week or two for my subscribers who want to watch lives but are unable to catch them live and like to do the watch them on replay. I may do that. What did we talk about in that video? We talked about the I Stand with Sophie stuff. I might just briefly cover that in a video, do a video covering all the stuff I talked about in that live, even though it'll seem out of order. So I don't know. We'll see. I'm not going to always leave that live up though, because under the chance that if more people tend to subscribe, then I'm probably going to delete it because I don't want people who weren't here from the beginning, who I have trust and loyalty with, to view that. It would scare me. Yeah, I think everybody's over COVID, to be quite honest. And like, I understand the seriousness of it. I really do. But it's just, it's crazy that we're having to adjust to a new way of life. Like, I really feel like that's what's happening. And I don't see an end to it anytime soon. Like, this vaccination is going to come out, or vaccine, whatever, is going to come out. Some people are going to risk it and get vaccinated, some aren't. And then, you know, the first set of people who get vaccinated are going to be the ones who were the guinea pigs, who end up having whatever side effects happen. And then it's like we're starting all over again, you know? Yeah, Jen, it's probably going to ramp back up once they have court. I think there's nothing else really to be said right now. I think that's why it's quieted down. Both attorneys have come out with statements. So unless the attorneys want to pull some stunts like that again from either side or judge up more stuff, I don't think anything's going to happen until court happens. Oh, I hope she's okay. I think patients who are testing positive are kind of everywhere right now. Somehow I missed your second comment, Jen. It doesn't sound like a popular idea. I mean, we can start the stream just talking about mental health, and for anybody who, because I always want everybody to feel welcome. Like, I appreciate those of you who come back time and time again to have these more serious discussions. But I want people who maybe are new to coming in to feel comfortable. So I like to start these conversations off very generic and slow starting. That way people get comfortable with us, like Sean, to feel comfortable to engage if they want to engage with the conversation. So I think doing something like that, we could talk very generally and openly about mental health. And then we can start talking about how COVID is affecting people's mental healths. No, Melanie, I'm about to get off because my other live that got cut short was a little over 30 minutes and this has been an hour. So I'm probably going to get off here. You like that idea? Okay, so probably what's going to happen is probably next week we'll talk about the triggering topic. And I will have to make sure to put big disclaimers, and I may ask for some of you guys who have been in all of these to not so much moderate, but if you see new people coming in, to post that just post trigger warning in the chat. So for anybody coming in, they'll see that it's a triggering topic. And then the following week, or if I have spare time next week, we can do both lives. This week, in my next live, which will probably be Thursday, maybe either Thursday or Friday, I'm going to talk about all the drama and stuff going on with some of the other drama channels. Yeah, for sure, Jen. And that can be something that if you want to like take a note of, so you can bring that up in the live that we talk about that stuff. Because I can promise you I'm not going to remember. Yeah, Sean, I think that's kind of a reoccurring theme everywhere. Really, Jen? That's surprising. Okay, thank you, Melody. I will probably enlist one or two of you just so one person doesn't, not that our chat ever gets like super overwhelmed, but just for backup in case one person has something to do or something like that it still is visible, which I know will probably get annoying to some people who are chatting, but I really don't want to trigger anybody. So with all of that being said, I am going to go ahead and log off for tonight. I do have a video that is scheduled tomorrow evening, I think. It's set as a premiere. I haven't done that before. Don't really know what it means, but it was a pre-filmed video. So that'll be up. It's a makeup video. And then I will either go live Thursday or Friday. And hopefully I will whatever day I don't go live on, I will load a video. I let you guys think about this and tell me how you feel I think what I'm going to try and do for now on is I'm going to try and offset days that I go live and days that I post videos. So like I posted a video on Monday, I'm live tonight. I'm posting a video tomorrow. I might go live on Thursday or post a video on Thursday and go live on Friday. And then the weekends are kind of like free for all, whatever. If there's topics and stuff to talk about or you guys want me to go live, I will. Otherwise, at some point I have to take days off too. So yeah, I know most people are logging out of here because I said I was going to go and then I started talking. That's how I operate. All right. So with all of that being said, keep the things that we talked about in consideration, like the questions I asked in consideration on your way out. If you guys could like the video, I guess I can kind of self-promo while I'm here. Just give the video a like, and if you haven't seen my most recent video, give it a watch. Otherwise, I'll have a video up tomorrow. Night, guys.